Israeli troops killed 5 Palestinian journalists early Thursday morning in Al-Awda hospital located in the Nusrat refugee camp in Palestine. The Russian government has described as theft the transfer of $1 billion by the United States to Ukraine from Russian assets frozen almost 3 years ago in the West. And in Haiti, the United Nations Integrated Office released a report on the massacre that took place over the weekend of December 7th and 9th in the country, raising the death toll to 207. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belen de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. And the Israeli troops killed 5 Palestinian journalists early Thursday morning at the Al-Awda hospital located in the Nusrat refugee camp. Faisal Abu Kumsam, Amum Al-Yadi, Ibrahim Seykhali, Fadi Hassouna and Mahmoud Al-Awda were journalists of the Al-Quds television channel from where the massacre was confirmed. According to the Palestinian media, the mobile unit was hit while the reporters were carrying out informative work. The attack has caused damage to the hospital, and one of the doctors was seriously wounded in the midst of the heavy explosion. The genocidal troops once again justified these war crimes by linking the victims to the Palestinian resistance. And we continue in Palestine, as in just 48 hours, 4 babies have died in southern Gaza due to the low temperatures and the poor shelter conditions imposed by the genocidal Israeli government. The death toll has been confirmed by doctors treating the population of the Al-Mawasi refugee camp. The latest victim was reported by the general director of the Gaza Health Minister, Dr. Munir al-Bush, who had previously informed on the passing of other 3 babies, 2 of whom were less than a week old and 1 who was a month old. Al-Mawasi, located along the Gaza coast in the Rafah governorate, is designated as a safe zone, according to Zionists. However, there is no fuel or protection for the winter season, and the arrival of humanitarian aid is slow and scarce. And now we move on to other topics. In Afghanistan, at least 46 people were killed in an airstrike carried out by the Pakistani army in the Afghan province of Patika. The incident, which also left 6 people wounded, has intensified tensions between the 2 neighboring countries. In this regard, the Afghan government qualified the attacks as a flagrant act of aggression and has assured that it will respond to this action. For its part, Pakistan asserted that the target of the bombings was a camp of the insurgent group Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan on Afghan soil, who days earlier claimed responsibility for an attack in southern Pakistan that left 16 members of the security forces dead. And in other news, on Thursday, Japan Airlines HAL reported on cyber attacks that caused delays to domestic and international flights. The airline, which is the country's 2nd largest, said that 24 domestic flights were delayed by more than half an hour due to a network disruption that began at 7:24 a.m. on Thursday. After the news broke, the company's shares fell as much as 2.5% in morning trading before recovering slightly. The airline is the latest Japanese company to be hit by a cyber attack. This type of breach in security was also experienced in June by popular Japanese video sharing site Nico Nico. In addition, in 2023, both Japan's space agency and one of the country's busiest ports were hit by a ransomware attack as well. And we go now to Mozambique, as authorities confirmed that over 1,500 prisoners have escaped from Maputo prison after a riot that left 33 people dead. The riot took place in a maximum security penitentiary in the province of Maputo in Matola. The general commander of the police of the Republic, Bernardino Rafael, declared that a group of demonstrators approached the facility, making noise and demanding the release of the prisoners. The agitation caused disturbances that provoked the collapse of a wall, and the prisoners took advantage of the moment to escape through the doors. Rafael warned that in the next 48 hours, a sharp increase in crime is expected in the city of Maputo, and also called on all of the society to unite to fight crime in the country. And now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Russian government has described the transfer of $1 billion by the United States to Ukraine from Russian assets frozen almost 3 years ago as a theft. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov warned that these illegal actions could trigger future legal proceedings by the Russian government. He also added that the freezing of the assets is illegal. Peskov made these statements shortly after Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal announced that his country had received the first $1 billion from frozen Russian assets. Let's remember that shortly after the beginning of the Russian special military operation in Ukraine, the United States and its European allies confiscated or froze approximately $300 billion in Russian financial assets. And meanwhile, Russia's Federal Security Service confirmed that it prevented a series of Ukrainian terrorist attacks targeting high-ranking military officers. One of the attacks was aimed at a senior official of the Ministry of Defense. The bomber was a Russian citizen from Ukraine who would have arrived via Moldova. Other attacks were planned to be delivered to the officers as envelope bombs to be detonated from Ukraine as soon as the targets were safe. The Russian authorities confirmed at least 4 detainees, all of them with Russian citizenship, who provided work and residence address of senior military commanders. And in Georgia, the parliamentary leadership decided to raise the security level to yellow for the inauguration of President-elect Mikhail Kavelashvili. The legislature specified that the representatives of the mass media will have to apply to the parliament for special accreditation. In this regard, the yellow security level will be enforced at the Georgia's parliamentary palace, to which visitors will be restricted from entering. It should be noted that this measure is part of the preparations for the inauguration of the president-elect to be held on December 29th. And we now move on to other topics. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, authorities have declared a natural disaster in several parts of the country following heavy snowfall that has caused road blockages. According to local media, all houses in the city of Knesevo are without electricity, and all access roads are blocked by a thick layer of snow, which in some places exceeds 100 centimeters. They also noted that several dozen Bosnian towns and villages have been cut off by the snowstorm, with many vehicles stuck on the roads, which have quickly become impassable since the storm began. So far, rescue teams together with local NGOs reported that they have rescued about 100 people, including women and children, who have been trapped for hours in about 50 cars in the town of Troche, located in the northwest of the country. And on Wednesday, 19 people trapped up in a mountain in Italy due to heavy snowfall finally made their way down. The group included 11 alpine rescuers who had been deployed on Monday to assist 2 Italian climbers who had been trapped at 2,700 meters on Gran Sasso, the highest peak in the range. The rescuers were stranded at around 2,100 meters, and forced by worsening weather conditions, the team took shelter in the Campo Imperatore Mountain Hotel until a break in the weather on Wednesday allowed the cable car to be reopened and all 19 people to descend safely to the valley. The Alpine Rescue Service said that the search for the missing climbers would resume when weather conditions improve, but did not specify when they last communicated with the two missing climbers whose condition is still unknown. And Donald Trump, President-elect of the United States, announced on Wednesday that Kevin Marino Cabrera, current Miami-Dade County Commissioner, will be appointed as his ambassador to Panama. In the middle of the announcement, the Republican again insisted that the Central American country swindles the United States in its canal and used his social network Truth Social to send a message in which he suggests that the Panamanian Canal works with Chinese soldiers as operators. For his part, Marino Cabrera said he was very honored to assume this new position, and Trump also highlighted his performance as a commissioner in Florida. And we stay in the United States as New York's holiday mood was dampened on Wednesday after a cab rammed into a crowd of pedestrians in the middle of downtown Manhattan. The accident occurred due to an alleged medical episode of the driver, who apparently lost control, crashing the car against the sidewalk. The accident left 7 people injured, including a 9-year-old boy who suffered head injuries, as well as 2 49-year-old women and 4 other women between the ages of 19 and 41. The New York Police Department said that 3 of the seriously injured people were taken to nearby health centers for medical attention. And also in the U.S., President Joe Biden signed a law in April that would block TikTok in the country under accusations of espionage. But the owners of the well-known app filed a legal dispute that is about to come to an end. Our correspondent Henry Cabello with the details.
The countdown to the U.S. ban on the TikTok platform is already underway. The reasons: an apparent danger to national security.
Some Republican members have joined that Democrat effort to somehow, number one, shut down the platform or eliminate it entirely from the United States of America, or number two, force its owners to sell it and have it bought out, to be bought by purely American capital.
However, the strategy of the company ByteDance, owner of TikTok with Chinese shares, would be to appeal to the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, that is, to the right of its citizens to free speech, something that users of this platform believe would be hindering them from being eliminated.
In the sense of watching, of seeing the news, which is what is trending, well, one says they are restricting my freedom to communicate, my freedom to inform myself.
According to experts, behind the attempted elimination or sale of TikTok would be the fall in popularity of Facebook, since according to a report by We Are Social, this application would have had a loss of users of 89 million accounts in the last year and Instagram of about 54 million, respectively.
Obviously, TikTok's booty is very appetizing. We are talking about a company that has grown a lot in just a few years, becoming the preferred platform of the young Generation Z and also of some millennials. In fact, it has replaced in that demographic sector the Instagram platform that belongs to Zuckerberg, the owner of Meta.
The company ByteDance, owner of TikTok, has said that if it were to sell the application, it would be without the ultra-addictive algorithm, which makes young people not stop using the app under these conditions. It is estimated that the price of TikTok would be around $35 billion. However, Mark Zuckerberg would not be able to participate in the purchase of TikTok due to a conflict of interest.
At the end of the day, what they want is control and power. And if they manage to eliminate TikTok, and if they manage to acquire TikTok, literally confiscated from its legitimate and original owners, they will be getting away with it.
The possible closure of TikTok would affect some 170 million users, many of whom generate their livelihoods through the app. The Supreme Court is expected to issue a final decision on January 19th.
Pablo Daniel Ho y Henry Camelo, teleSUR, Nueva York.
And now we have a second short break coming up, but before, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Haiti, the United Nations Integrated Office released a report on the massacre that took place over the weekend of December 7th to the 9th in the country, raising the death toll to 207. The events took place in the capital Cité du Soleil neighborhood. Members of the criminal group led by Manuel Felix, aka Micano, executed 134 men and 73 women with guns and machetes. They accused them of witchcraft practices that allegedly caused the death of Micano's son. Maria Isabel Salvador, representative of the UN Secretary General in Haiti, said in presenting the report that the events were of an unprecedented gravity. She also urged the Haitian justice system to carry out a thorough investigation and not to pretend that nothing has happened. We go now to Argentina, as according to the latest report of the Attorney General's office for crimes against humanity, during the era of Javier Milei's presidency, only 14 sentences were handed down in crimes against humanity, the lowest number in the last 10 years. Federal prosecutor Maria Ángel Ramos, in charge of the report, stated that since the year 2006, when the trials for crimes against humanity were reactivated, 1,195 perpetrators were convicted. The trials aimed to hold military officials accountable for their participation in the disappearance and torture of civilians during the country's last civic military dictatorship. However, in 2024, only 20 people were convicted and 12 were acquitted. Experts point out that the low production of sentences coincides with the coming to power of a government that denies the crimes of the dictatorship and justifies the crimes of the repressors. And in Ecuador, the relatives of the 4 minors who disappeared in a forced manner in Guayaquil came to provide data for forensic comparison. The findings of 4 corpses in the area of Taura in the province of Guayas has required the families to provide data to carry out anthropological examinations. These bodies were found in the same area where the children were illegally transferred by military personnel in an operation that was part of President Daniel Noboa's plans to combat crime. The Ecuadorian government is being strongly questioned for trying to hide the operation and for repeated human rights violations. And in Suriname, the government announced that the former president, the Sebutser, passed away at the age of 79, and the causes of death are still unknown. Through a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs informed that the news of the death was learned by the family and governmental inquiries. For his part, the head of state, Chan Santoki, offered condolences on behalf of his cabinet to the wife, children, and the rest of the relatives of the former president, and added that the government is waiting for more detailed information. Buters governed from 1980 to 1987, and then in 2010 he won the presidential elections to remain at the helm of Suriname until 2020, when he officially retired from politics. And Indian authorities prepared for 400 million pilgrims during the 6-week-long Kumbh Mela. The makeshift city is being built for a festival that is expected to be so big it will be visible from space, the largest congregation in history. The Kumbh Mela is an ancient festival with its origins rooted in Hindu mythology. This edition, from January 13th to February 26th, is expected to be a mega draw coinciding with a particular alignment of the planets. Around 150,000 toilets have been built, 68,000 LED light poles erected, and community kitchens that can feed up to 50,000 people. The last Kumbh Mela in 2019 gathered 240 million devotees.
इससे बड़ी गैदरिंग पूरे विश्व में कहीं नहीं होती है.
Nowhere in the world will you see a gathering of this size. What makes this event unique is its magnitude and the fact that no invitations are sent to anybody.
ये कहे हुए आते हैं और आकर के ऐसी मान्यता, ऐसी बिलीफ है कि दिन पर दिन ये बढ़ता ही जा रहा है, संख्याएं बढ़ता ही जा रही हैं. तो ये एक तरह का यूनिकनेस इसमें यही है कि
Everyone comes on their own, driven by pure faith. People in huge numbers come here to bathe, and this is a very unique aspect of the festival.
सकुशल यहाँ स्नान करके अपने गंतव्य तक वापस जाना, ये सबसे बड़ी यूनिक चीज़ है. हाँ, एक शहर तो यहाँ बसाया ही जाता है उसके
A city is being built here. We are expecting 350 to 400 million devotees to visit the Mela. So you can imagine the scale of preparations. Preparations for the fair started 2.5 years ago, during which the infrastructure of the city had to be strengthened.
शहर के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को strengthen.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and also on TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Virendra Santos. Thank you for watching.